In the coming days, but projections have it staying east of the U.S., Kate.
All right, Antonia, thank you. House Republican leadership was working through this weekend trying to avert a government shutdown, but the deadline is now less than a week away, and there are still strong divisions within the GOP. Monica Alba has the latest.
Time is running out tonight for Congress to avoid a government shutdown, now just 6 days away. Speaker McCarthy expressing optimism despite no outward signs of progress this weekend.
I think we're able to work through this. At the end of the day, get there.
House Republicans who control the process are divided on a path forward. Conservative hardliners pushing for deeper cuts, not backing down today.
This dysfunctional Washington cannot continue. That's why folks like me, we're sticking to our guns, and all of a sudden we're the bad guys because we want to balance our budget.
We are sticking to our guns, and all of a sudden we are the bad guys because we want to balance our budget. Stick to your guns means to continue to have your beliefs or continue with a plan of action, even if other people disagree with you. Set your goals and stick to your guns.
Even threatening to oust the speaker.
That would be something I would look strongly at.
President Biden Saturday slamming those hard-right Republicans.
Funding the government is one of those basic responsibilities of Congress. And it's time for Republicans to start doing the job America elected them to do.
There are some efforts to avert a shutdown. Some moderates in the GOP have pledged to work with Democrats.
So we're going to do whatever we need to do our job to keep the government open. Our district wants us to keep America running.
If the government does shut down, federal employees and service members won't get paychecks. Food safety programs would be affected. Thousands of kids would lose access to government pre-K, and national parks could close. All while essential workers like air traffic controllers will have to keep working, unpaid.
Think about how stressful of a job that is on the best of days. And now we'd be asking them to show up to work with the added stress of not getting a paycheck.
Not impacted, Social Security checks and mail delivery. But the list of affected services could expand depending on how long the shutdown lasts.
And Monica's with us now from the White House, where they're preparing as if a shutdown is likely, Monica?
Exactly. The White House has asked all federal agencies to update their contingency plans.
The White House has asked all federal agencies to update their contingency plans. Contingency. A contingency plan or measure is one that is intended to be used if a possible situation actually occurs. We have contingency plans.
And figure out how many employees would be furloughed, acting as if the shutdown is all but certain.
And figure out how many employees would be furloughed, acting as if the shutdown is all but certain. Furlough. If workers are given furlough, they are told to stay away from work for a certain period because there is not enough for them to do. This could mean a massive furlough of government workers.
Kate?
Monica, thank you. Still ahead tonight, the growing crisis at the border and why these Border Patrol agents cut through barbed wire to save lives. Plus, you will not believe how fast this woman ran a marathon. We're back with the humanitarian crisis at our southern border. The mayor of El Paso, Texas, says his city is at a breaking point as more migrants cross into the U.S. And this weekend, some Border Patrol agents took drastic measures to try to save lives. Guad Venegas reports from the border.
Tonight, dramatic moments at the border showing the desperation and determination from people trying to get into the U.S. Border Patrol agents making a life-saving decision, cutting the razor wire fence to rescue this group of migrants carrying young children, then pulling them out of the dangerous barrier. The group got stuck after crossing the Rio Grande in Eagle Pass, Texas, where thousands have arrived this week. Others finding ways to avoid the razor wire.
So they climbed onto these containers from the river, and now Border Patrol is helping them get off. They say they want to contribute something to the United States and help their families back home.
400 miles away, the mayor of El Paso sounding the alarm.
The city of El Paso only has so many resources, and we have come to what we look at a breaking point right now.
A new shelter opening its doors to help as the migrants continue arriving south of the border. In San Diego, the local rapid response network stretched to capacity, saying in a statement, "We cannot provide respite shelter and services to all the people seeking asylum."
In San Diego, the local rapid response network stretched to capacity, saying in a statement, "We cannot provide respite shelter and services to all the people seeking asylum." Respite. A respite is a short period of rest from something unpleasant. It was some weeks now since they had any respite from shellfire.
The DHS is releasing. Amid the crisis, DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas visiting the border over the weekend.
Most recently, Congress has yet to act on our requests for $4 billion in funding and resources.
With cities like Eagle Pass bracing for a wave that continues to make its way through Mexico and headed to the border.
And Guad, you're saying more people are making their way to the border. Just how many are officials expecting?
Kate, we think there could be tens of thousands traveling through Mexico. Just here in Eagle Pass alone, hundreds are arriving on every freight train, with those migrants telling me thousands more are waiting to hitchhike on more trains. So there's just no way of telling how many will arrive at the border, Kate.
With those migrants, tell me thousands more are waiting to hitchhike on more trains. Hitchhike. If you hitchhike, you travel by getting rides from passing vehicles without paying. Neff hitchhiked to New York during his Christmas holiday.
Guad Venegas for us. Guad, thank you. We're back in a moment with the major reversal across the country. Why schools are bringing back police officers on campuses. A new record was just shattered, and I mean shattered, in the sports world. Ethiopia's Tigist Assefa broke the women's marathon world record today. She won the Berlin Marathon in just under 2 hours and 12 minutes. And if that isn't impressive enough, get this. She demolished the previous record by 2 whole minutes. It marked her second consecutive Berlin Marathon title. Congrats. Now to a new debate over police officers in schools. Many districts across the country chose to get rid of them over concerns they weren't treating students equally. But now many are bringing officers back. Priscilla Thompson on what's behind the reversal.
2 lockdowns within a week at Capitol High School in Olympia, Washington.
15-year-old student was arrested.
Police officers that have gone through direct training to know exactly how to best approach these students in these situations.
The school board now moving to reinstate them.
The school board now moving to reinstate them. Reinstate. If you reinstate someone, you give them back a job or position that had been taken away from them. The governor is said to have agreed to reinstate 5 senior workers who were dismissed.
And they're not alone. Denver Public Schools got rid of its SROs in 2020.
We begin with another shooting and another sad commentary on violence.
But after 2 school shootings, the district brought them back this year. They've also returned to certain districts in California, Maryland, and Virginia.
Not all students feel safe with armed police officers on campus.
Talana Reed is on the Olympia School Board and opposes school police, even after those guns were found on campus.
There are parents who say these officers do make kids safer. What do you say to them?
Their children may be safer, but they are from a certain demographic and a certain group. We have just as many saying absolutely not.
Research shows that Black students are involved in more than 80% of violent police encounters in schools, and students with disabilities more than 25%. A concern voiced by students in Olympia.
I, as a student, am not at all comfortable with police walking the same halls as me.
As parents work toward a common goal.
We need to have the trust that our kids are going to a safe place.
At the end of the day, it's about protecting.
With different solutions. Priscilla Thompson, NBC News.
When we come back, there's good news tonight. The moving reason this groom asked someone he had never met in person to be his best man. There's good news tonight about the kindness of strangers and the unbreakable bond that gave one man a second chance at life and true love.
Ben, you may kiss your bride.
When Ben Clark and Jamie Ewell got married in Iowa this month, Ben's best man was someone he'd met for the first time just the day before.
Sir. Hi, nice to meet you.
Yeah, you bet.
Jan and his girlfriend.
Jan Rolfes traveled all the way from Sweden to walk Ben down the aisle.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am honored to introduce Ben's best man, Jan Rolfes.
Let's start with you, Ben. What was it like to meet?
Oh, it was great. Great to meet for the first time. You know, obviously wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. So.
Yeah, you feel it.
Yep.
Jan and Ben bound by a life-saving gift. More than 10 years ago and thousands of miles away, Jan was a match when Ben needed a stem cell transplant for a rare form of blood cancer. Jan had donated his stem cells through DKMS, an international nonprofit dedicated to the fight against blood disorders. A simple procedure that he says took just a couple of hours.
Jan, was it difficult?
No, not at all. We're proof right here that somebody from Sweden can save somebody's life here in the Midwest.
The two of them remained strangers until Ben reached out to Jan on email a few years back. And when Ben proposed to Jamie,
could I see those rings?
He knew he wanted Jan standing by his side.
That was pretty overwhelming. You know, I just, you know, without him, I wouldn't be here. And that's what this is all about.
Ben giving his best man this gift with the engraving, "Thank you for giving me life. I am forever grateful."
Do you think you'll be connected for the rest of your lives?
Oh, absolutely.
What does it say about the human spirit?
Sometimes, like, you can do tiny things that are just right to do. They can have a big impact.
Tiny things. And a quick note, my latest edition of The Drink features 20-year-old singer Steven Sanchez. It's always about how someone got to the top. We talk about over milkshakes, about his new album, about how his throwback sound came from listening to his grandfather's vinyl.
About how his throwback sound came from listening to his grandfather's vinyl. Throwback. If you say that something is a throwback to a former time, you mean that it is like something that existed a long time ago. The hall is a throwback to another era with its old prints and stained glass.
And you'll want to hear how he ended up on stage with Elton John. It's all at NBCNews.com/thedrink or on our Nightly News podcast. That is NBC Nightly News this Sunday. I'm Kate Snow. Stay right here for Sunday Night Football in just a few minutes. For all of us here at NBC News, stay safe. Have a great night.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.